Good evening, everyone. My name is Adaptations. I am the U.S. Marketing Manager, and I'd like to invite you or welcome you guys out to our first, some may consider our second, members-only event. I want you guys to do me a favor. In the chat, please let me know if you can hear us well and see us well. We just want to make sure that you guys are able to enjoy all the amazing information Laura's going to provide today. To tell you a little bit about this event this evening, uh, we wanted to make sure that we were finding a way to give back to our members above and beyond simply the training that we provide. This is going to be the first of many. We're going to do this every quarter. So this is something for you all to look forward to. And each time we provide one of these, it's going to be something that really enhances the Fit 20 program. I'm going to take this opportunity to introduce the host this evening, studio manager for our Liberty Place location, Rebecca.
Thank you, Ocasio. My name is Rebecca Church. I'm the studio manager and a personal trainer here at Liberty Place in Fredericksburg, Virginia. We recently celebrated our 1-year anniversary, and it's my pleasure to be introducing the guest of honor this evening, Laura Hefflin. We actually met through a Facebook post. She introduced herself through a Friday introduction, which inspired me to invite her into our studio for a free consultation, and she became a member at Fit 20. She started sharing through her sessions with me her philosophies and principles on nutrition, and what I learned about them was that they really contradict the society norms and they complement our Fit 20 method, which is really exciting. And that compelled me to buy her books and to read them, which I highly recommend, by the way. And we really started to build a relationship. And I generated this idea to host a small local studio event. I went to our leadership team at Fit 20 headquarters and I introduced them to Laura. Of course, they fell in love with her. And then the blink of an eye, it just blossomed into this big national level event, which I'm really excited about because all of our members deserve to benefit from what Laura has to share with us this evening. And so what I want you to do now is pay attention, take some notes. Feel free to submit any questions that you have throughout the entire presentation through the webinar chat. And let us know which studio you're from, because what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be monitoring those questions and we'll call them out towards the end with any extra time that we have so that Laura can answer them for you. She's here for you guys with a wealth of knowledge. And without further ado, it is my absolute pleasure and honor to introduce you to author and certified nutrition and wellness consultant, Laura Hachibu.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Rebecca, for that introduction. And thanks to each and every one of you for taking time out of your busy schedules to tune in back in again tonight. I know it's a little bit of deja vu, so we just appreciate you bearing with us and our technology and being here with us. So as you well know by now, my name is Laura Hefflin. I'm a certified nutritionist going on 10 years now. I'm also a wife, a mama of 2. And as of a couple years ago, I became an author. I have 2 books out right now and 1 on the way. But the first book, I'm going to be actually introducing that to you at the end of the talk, so stay tuned for that. But before we go much further, I just want to let you know you are more than welcome to ask questions. All you have to do is just submit them in the comment section, and Rebecca's going to be reading them off to me at the end. Okay, so we're going to jump into my lifestyle. Before we do, though, I just want to tell you a little tidbit about me. So I'm a holistically trained nutritionist, and I'm going to be breaking down what that really means in a minute. But I want you to know that my greatest passion is helping my clients, my followers, and my readers find and build the confidence that they need to break up with dieting for good and pursue a lifestyle that not only they want to sustain or can sustain, but that they actually really want to sustain in the long run. So I'm going to be breaking down the 10 principles that make up this lifestyle that I personally live by and have taught for 10 years. But we are going to just jump in. So ask questions throughout. Feel free to do that. And yeah, so the name of my company is Live Healthy with Laura. And my motto is stop dieting and start living today. So there's some benefits that are reported back to me quite a bit from my clients, and I hear this all the time, and I definitely experience these myself. The first one is an overall increase in energy, a renewed, healthier relationship with food, and an increase in metabolism, which as you probably already know, that is the rate at which your body burns calories. Now, the three that I just mentioned, unfortunately, can negatively be impacted by our diet culture. But if that's you tonight, if you're sitting at home and you feel like your weight loss is plateaued, if you feel like your metabolism is at a standstill, I want you to know you are not doomed. Your metabolism is only based off of genetics and age, which is 25%, but 75% your control. So I'm going to help you tonight. I'm going to give you some awesome methods and awesome tips to get your metabolism back up to a really healthy pace. Another thing that my lifestyle does is it shifts your way of thinking from, say, I want to lose X amount of pounds, I just want to see this number on the scale, to, you know what, I just want to feel my best. I want to go up the stairs and not be out of breath anymore. I want to chase my grandkids around. I want to go on that hike and feel like I can actually make it to the top. So it shifts the focus off of the numbers and overall to the overall well-being of the person, which is really where we want our focus to be anyways. So there's some things that our diet culture has unfortunately taught us that I believe are not just detrimental to our overall health, but to our waistlines. The first one being is that there is a quick fix solution to weight loss. Now, as enticing as it may sound to lose 10 pounds in 10 days or whatever the tagline reads, I want you to know that real weight loss, when done properly and done in a way that does not put your body into shock and that is typically lost for good, is actually done slower than maybe you would want, or maybe at a slower pace than our culture tells you that it should go at. But that is okay. Your body is actually not on your timeline, as much as we probably wish it was. It's on its own timeline. But I promise you that if you show up for your health and your body every single day, it will show up for you. So just to tell you a little fun fact, you don't want to lose more than 1/2 pound to 2 pounds of weight a week. So that's max. And just keep that in mind. There's going to be days and weeks that you don't lose at all, and that's okay. Give your body grace throughout your health journey. Another thing that we hear quite a bit is that if it's not extreme enough, it won't work, which I believe is actually a really backwards way of thinking, because statistically, it's shown that extremes actually don't work in the long run. They actually end up backfiring on us in the end. And then another thing we hear all the time, which I'm definitely going to be debunking this, is that snacking leads to weight gain. I absolutely do not believe this. I actually believe it's very beneficial if we do it properly, which I'll be breaking down for you in a minute. Also, something we're hearing all the time is that fasting for long periods of time, even 20 to 24 hours, is not just beneficial, but a safe way to lose weight. And I'm going to be explaining to you why I believe this is actually quite dangerous in a minute. And then lastly, we hear that we can eat a small amount of calories, 1,200 or less sometimes, and lose weight and keep it off. When in fact, actually eating too little shifts your body into fat conservation mode. So you want to actually, as ironic as it sounds, eat enough to lose weight. So tonight, I have gathered some quotes from some victims of the diet culture. And I'll just tell you that I myself was once a victim of the diet culture. It's actually what sparked my interest in nutrition, and it's what led me to where I am today. And if you want to hear more about my story, you can check out my book. I have it all in the front, in the intro. But these quotes are actually from my personal clients throughout the past 10 years, some that I've heard from multiple. The first one that I hear quite a bit is, I cannot lose weight even though I'm doing everything right. Now, that's everything right according to what they know to be true, according to what that diet trend has probably told them to do. And maybe they lost weight for a little while, but all of a sudden, 6 months down the road, they notice that their weight loss has plateaued, their energy has diminished, and they're just frustrated. So what do? They throw the towel in, and before they know it, they're back to square one. Another thing I hear all the time is that I was told that this diet was going to give me energy. I was told that it was going to make me feel great, but now I'm feeling sick and I'm feeling depleted. I am constantly achy and irritable, and no one can explain to me why. I am eating less than I ever have, but now I'm gaining weight. This is something I hear all the time, and I'll be explaining why this happens in a minute. And lastly, something I hear all the time, and I just actually heard this recently from a woman. She came into my office and told me that she lost 20 pounds, and I'm not going to list any specific diets, but I will just, you can fill in the blank. And but what happened was, a year later, she gained it all back, plus an additional 20 pounds. So unfortunately, when this happens, that is a telltale sign of a metabolism that has been negatively impacted by our diet culture. But again, if that's you, if you've been on the diet train, don't lose hope, okay? All right, so before we move on to my principles, I'm going to ask you the question that I ask all of my clients when they first come into my office, and that is, are you ready to be freed from the bonds of dieting once and for all? I'm going to assume just the fact that you're here tuning in again tonight, the answer is yes. So we're going to go ahead and go to number 1. My first principle is don't start something today you cannot do the rest of your life. Now, this sounds probably pretty simple. It doesn't seem like that would be hard to practice. However, it's something our culture just doesn't do. We are a very extremist culture. Okay, we are very all or nothing, and we actually are attracted to extremes because we over the years have been told that that's just what works the best. But in reality, it always backfires on us. So I don't want you to work hard towards something and then 6 months to a year down the road feel like you're back at square one. I don't want that for you. So what you have to do is you have to ask yourself every single day what you're doing. If it's sustainable, you ask yourself, can I do this the rest of my life? So just a few examples that you could, ask yourself. Can I take out carbohydrates the rest of my life? I know my answer is no. Can I weigh my food, measure my food the rest of my life? Do I really want to live off of powdered protein shakes or meal replacements the rest of my life? Or how about, can I work out this hard and this often the rest of my life? So these are just a few examples, but the key is to answer honestly. And if you feel like you're doing something and you realize that it's not sustainable, I'm going to challenge you to go another direction, because I don't want you to work so hard towards something that eventually is going to give out when you lose steam. So always ask yourself every single time you start something new, can I do this for the rest of my life? Principle number 2, discover the 80-20 lifestyle and then live by it. So somewhere along the way in our culture, we just lost track of what balance really means and what balance really looks like. But the thing is, again, we just talked about extremes. Extremes don't work. So when we try to do anything 100% and we're walking on eggshells, we 1000% without fail will burn out eventually. So you have to give yourself room to breathe. We're all human, right? So the 80-20 principle is so amazing and so powerful when you implement it, because it gives your body time to enjoy it. You can enjoy things you love, but you can also indulge, but you also are caring for yourself and giving it real whole food. So you're going to get amazing results while at the same time you're going to be enjoying your life again. So how I break it down is it's 80% you're going to eat clean, whole foods. You're going to try to avoid dairy, gluten, refined sugar, and nightshade vegetables, okay? If you don't know what those are, I don't have time to break them down tonight, but you can Google them. And 20% of the time, I want you to relax. I want you to enjoy your life. If you want pasta, have pasta. I want you to feel like you have room to breathe. You're not on a diet, and I will tell you, you're not cheating when you do have a 20, you're just living, okay? So the way it can get a little confusing. So the way I break down the 20% for my clients and the way I kind of tell them to go about doing it is have a little treat every single day. And the reason this works is because it eliminates your cravings. If you can have something, you're not going to crave it, right? So if you want a cookie, have a cookie. If you want a brownie, have a brownie. Just don't have 6, because guess what? You can have more tomorrow and nobody's taking them away from you. So, and then once a week, okay, hear me out. I want you to actually indulge. I want you to have a splurge meal, whether it's on a date with your spouse, whether you are doing DoorDash or making something really indulgent at home. I actually want you to give yourself that wiggle room. If you know ahead of time that you have a wedding on the weekend coming up, then plan for that as your splurge meal or your 20 meal. But whatever you do not call it a cheat meal, because you're not cheating. And again, you're just living. Okay, so there's a lot of benefits to the 80-20 lifestyle. The first one is, we already talked about it, but you're not going to be craving anything, because how can you crave something if you're allowed to have it? Also, an overall healthier relationship with food. Again, if we're taking away the obsession, we're not going to be obsessing because we're no longer told we can't have something. We're not going to obsess over it. And then an increase in metabolism. So this is really interesting. If I caught your attention earlier when I talked about your metabolism being at a standstill, one thing and one mistake we make in our culture when we are in a diet trend is eating the same amount of calories every single day. The problem with that is our metabolism actually becomes kind of lazy. It actually starts to expect the same amount of calories to come in every single day. So your metabolism actually slows down a little bit. It actually takes a hit. However, when you challenge it by indulging and actually having this 20 meal, you will notice that you are hungrier a little bit the next day. And the reason that is, if you've ever followed like a bodybuilder, if you've ever followed their story, they do something called carb cycling. So what that basically means is how they get to such amazing shape. They eat about the same amount of calories, but then one day they really indulge. They have the Italian, I keep saying Italian because that's my favorite, but they have whatever they're craving, and they probably have an extra 500 calories that day. I'm not a calorie counter, but I'm just estimating for you. And what science has actually showed is over the next 72 hours, their body is burning at a much faster rate. So what happens is when you actually indulge, you've asked your metabolism, you've in a sense added kerosene to your fire. So you're actually going to be burning into your fat stores way more efficiently than if you actually had not indulged, as ironic as that may sound. And then also, it gives you the freedom to enjoy any food in moderation, long-lasting, manageable results, again, because you're not walking on such a tightrope. And again, you're going to be able to enjoy your life. Again, you do want to plan for your 20s. So if you know a wedding is coming up on Saturday, don't splurge on a Friday. Try to, plan it out. And as we talk about planning, we'll jump into principle number 3. And that is, if you aren't a planner, then become one. So I get it. We are all busy. I'm a very busy working mama. And so I understand that this is not easy. However, we truly cannot make our health an afterthought anymore. We have to plan for it. And if you don't plan for it, it doesn't happen. So that's where this quote comes in. If you plan to fail, you fail to plan. No, did I say that right? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Sorry. So, and this is so true. We can't let our health, we can't let what we're putting in our body become an afterthought. If we are not ahead of the game, absolutely we will miss meals and snacks, and we will end up at the drive-thru. Okay, but if you do the brain work a little bit ahead of the game, you will have success for the week ahead. So what I highly recommend you do is every weekend sit down, maybe on a Sunday, for 30 to 45 minutes, okay? And I want you to kind of brainstorm, look at your week ahead, look at your schedule. Ask yourself, what days am I going to be home? What days am I going to be teleworking? What days am I running errands? And all of that. And then each night, check in and ask yourself, what am I doing the next day? What am I doing? Where am I going to be? Am I going to be home? Do I need to pack food? So kind of brainstorm. And then as silly as this may sound, I actually want you to check in every hour for 5 seconds and ask yourself, when is the last time I ate something? When is the last time I drank something? And as silly as that sounds, if you do that, I promise you, you're going to have better results and you're going to feel so much better if you just check in every day. So meal planning is huge, and I know it can be very, very daunting. So I try to break it down for my clients in 4 steps, okay? The first thing I want you to do is simply purchase a pretty meal planner on Amazon or wherever you want and put it somewhere where you can see it, preferably on your fridge. And then also, once you do that, I want you to sit down with whoever else is in your home and strategize for the week ahead. Plan out your breakfasts, your lunches, your dinners, and your snacks, okay? So once you have it on your weekly calendar, then I want you to build your grocery list off of your meal plan for the week. And so once you've done that, then you submit your grocery order into Instacart, or you go grocery shopping, whatever you prefer, and you're set for the rest of the week. You have your meals planned and you have set yourself up for success. Now I'll just put this out one more time. Plan for your 20s. I actually circle mine in red. So if I know a date night's coming or a wedding or something like that, circle it in red so that way you know it's coming and you're not going to overindulge any other day, okay? But again, you get a treat every single day, so you're not depriving yourself. Principle number 4, just eat real food. Now, this sounds simple, but it's, again, something our culture just doesn't do. We love packaged, prepackaged, everything foods. And the problem with that is we are getting further and further away from eating real whole foods. So this is one of my favorite quotes by Ann Wigmore. And she says, foods that you can eat can be either the best form of medicine or the worst form of poison. So let that sink in for a minute. What you're eating can absolutely harm you or heal you. So it can't be an afterthought. If you want to reach your health potential, you have to pay attention to what you're putting in your body. So what exactly are whole foods? They're very simple. They are foods without an ingredient label. Whole foods with one ingredient, okay, that have not been tampered with. As you see here, there's some beautiful examples and they're all colorful. You want lots of color in your diet, but yeah, they're whole foods. They don't have a label and nobody has messed with them. Simple as that. So you're going to see the food pyramid here, and I believe that our body thrives off of balance, not perfection, okay? But I do believe that we need every single food group every single day. And Please don't ever listen to somebody telling you to take out an entire food group, because I promise you, your body needs them all, and I'm going to break them down for you now. So at the very top, we have our fats, oils, and sweets, and we already talked about our 80-20, so you absolutely have room for those. I will tell you on a side note, I don't have a chance to break it all down for you tonight, but there are healthy fats and unhealthy fats. So fats are not all created equal. So just keep that in mind. There are fats that are very, very healthy for you. And then the whole second section is protein. So protein is very important, especially if you want to build lean muscle mass, but also it's a glucose stabilizer. It takes your body a long period of time to break down protein. So you want to include protein in every single meal or snack. Meaning that I don't want to just eat an apple on my own, right? I would want to have that with some peanut butter or maybe a hard-boiled egg, okay? Because what happens is if I were to just eat that apple on my own, I'm going to get a spike of glucose and then a crash, versus little spurts of energy or glucose over a period of a couple of hours. So if you ever experienced the spike and the crash, it's no fun. And keeping your blood sugar stable actually keeps you in the fat burning zone all day long. So protein, protein, protein. Okay, then our third section here is fruits and vegetables. And I know nobody likes to hear that we need to eat these, but let me tell you why they're so important, okay? We have cancer and disease all over the place, and we don't want that, okay? We don't want that for ourselves. We don't want that for our children. And we so often are ignoring our defense system, our defense mechanism. And those are, free radicals and oxidative stress are always fighting against us. So we need antioxidants. So colorful, organic fruits and vegetables are going to give our body a shield of protection every single day. You want to look back at your day and see a rainbow of color, okay? And when you do, then you can rest easy knowing that you're giving your body everything it needs to fight for you. It will fight inflammation, it will build your immune system, fight cancer, and fight disease. All right. And then this last section here, I know it's scary because we're told to avoid it, but I want you to know you need grains. Fruits and vegetables and grains, these are carbohydrate sources. They both are carbohydrate sources. But you need grains every single day. And unfortunately, we're going to be told to take them out, but let me tell you why this does not work, okay? For a period of time, if you take out carbohydrates, you will absolutely lose weight, without a doubt, because it is your body's #1 source of energy. So, of course, if you take them out, you're going to be burning into your fat stores. However, let's look at the big picture. Let's look further down the road. What happens is, because our thyroid gland, which is our little butterfly-sized gland right on our neck, because it is so heavily dependent on carbohydrates and grains, if we take those out long term, we can actually then have hypothyroid symptoms come back to us. So we might never have been hypothyroid, but then we shift into that gear because simply we took out carbohydrates. So where does this weight loss plateau come from? Simply from taking out carbohydrates, our thyroid no longer has the power to help our metabolism function properly. So it's very important, again, that we include all these food groups. Now, I do recommend being gluten-free as much as possible, and thankfully, in the same time, it's very easy to do that. Okay, so principle number 5, eat small but eat often. We've talked about metabolism a little bit. That's the rate at which your body burns calories. I'm assuming you can see the bonfire right here, okay? I want you to picture that as if that was your metabolism. How do you keep a bonfire going all day long? You're going to put kindling in it, right? Little bits of kindling all throughout the day. That is how our metabolism actually works. That's how our body likes to be treated. It's just something our culture doesn't do anymore. But when we give our body more consistent food throughout the day, then our metabolism is going to keep burning for us, okay? The way I break this down, it's very simple. Remember 1, 2, and 3. Eat within 1 hour of waking up, because no matter how fast your metabolism is during the day, while you're sleeping, it is still on sleep mode. There's a reason that breakfast split into 2 words. Says break and fast. You want to break that fast. It's very important. So if you actually don't eat within that first hour, you're asking your body to burn less calories for you the rest of the day. It's very, very important. And then you're going to want to graze every 2 to 2.5 hours on average, because listen, what happens when you get to 3 hours, 2 things happen that we don't want. Our blood sugar starts to tank. We already talked about that. That's going to give us the energy crash we don't want. That's going to give us the cravings. And then our metabolism starts slowing down, because your body does not know there's food around until you tell it there's food around by giving it food, okay? So when you skip meals, it actually becomes very paranoid, and it starts slowing down its gears because it's not sure when it's going to get fed next. So when you give your body little spurts of energy throughout the day, again, imagine a bonfire, your metabolism is going to be flaming for you, despite your genetics, despite your age, okay? So you want to remember that it takes 21 days to form a habit. So I understand doing anything new is not easy. I understand that. But if you can give yourself 3 weeks consistently of practicing this, then I promise you are going to see a huge difference. Now, how do you know if your metabolism is functioning or if it's not? First thing you want to remember is that a healthy metabolism, you're going to actually have little bits of hunger cues throughout the day. If you can brag all day that you're not hungry, that's not a good thing, I'll tell you. That means that your metabolism is really slowed down because, again, it probably does not know when it's going to be fed next, or your thyroid has some damage. So again, to reverse this, you want to get your body consistently fed. You want to give it fuel throughout the day. So, and now number 3, so we have 1, eat within 1 hour, graze every 2 to 2.5, and then stop eating 3 hours before bedtime. Because why would you want to fill the car if it's not going anywhere, right? So you really do want to give your body a period of grazing and then a period of fasting. But as you notice, I'm not talking 20 to 24 hours here. Okay. So it is broken down again into 12 and 12 hours of grazing, 12 hours of fasting. So we'll say if you wake up at 6, you want to eat around 7 at the latest and stop eating around 7. And then you're going to have a period where you're letting your body rest and break down the glucose and fat stores. But it's not too long to put your body into paranoia. So, and I want you to know this too. I understand we're very busy, but you do have time to graze. It takes 5 minutes, 5 minutes to fuel your body. And sometimes it's a scoop of peanut butter, and I understand that. But just make a point to do that. And if you really, really don't feel like you have the time, maybe it's time to look at your overall schedule and take something off the plate, because your health cannot come last, okay? So this is one of my favorite quotes. And when we kind of feel like we need to get kicked into gear a little bit, if you can't afford prevention, how are you going to afford disease later down the road? It's not going to be easy, right? So do the work now so you can avoid the doctor visits and doctors and the hospitals and all those things later, okay? Principle number 6, stop counting calories and just grab a salad plate. Again, we are a very number-focused culture. We want numbers, we want our macros, we want to know how many calories in a day. And here's the thing, again, as soon as you start counting, I believe you're obsessing, because I don't mind it once in a while, but if you do it daily, you're not going to do that till you're 80 years old, okay? So you're going to burn out, all right? I don't want you to become stressed and anxious around food. Food is just food. Don't give it any more power over you than it deserves, okay? So here's what you're going to do. You're going to grab a salad plate. And the way you're going to know that this does not stretch your stomach is simply this. If you were to make a fist, that is the size of your stomach organ if it were to never be stretched. So it's a very flexible organ, okay? It's flexible, and so it can be stretched pretty easily if we overeat. However, we practice portion control, you can shrink it, all right? So the reason the salad plate rule works is because, obviously not piled high, but if what you're eating fits on a salad plate, you're not going to stretch your stomach. You're going to be okay. So whether that's spaghetti or salad, it doesn't matter. Just use it as your gauge. When you're at home, just grab one as often as you can. And a lot of people don't realize this, but it takes your brain 20 minutes to register a meal. So often in our busy go, go, go culture, we are shoveling food down our throat. Within 10 minutes, we're grabbing seconds. The problem with that is we've not given our brain time to register our first meal. So slow down. I understand that life is busy. You don't have a chance to do this at every meal, but maybe for dinner or for breakfast or whatever time you can, try to practice eating within a 20-minute period before ever grabbing seconds. Okay? There's a saying that I want to share with you guys, and it's called Hara Hachibu. This is by the Okinawans. They are the longest living people on earth, so that's why I think we should definitely pay attention to what they do. They're obviously doing something right. And what this basically means is they stop when they're satisfied, not when they're full to the brim. And how they do this is they tune in. Okay, they don't just eat because the food's there. It might mean that you leave a bite or two on the plate because you never really needed it. So just check in with your body. There might be a day you're starving, and that's okay. But if there's a day that you're not really as hungry, just respond and don't ever feel like you have to clean the plate, okay? So one thing I'll point out, people say, wait, won't I be hungry? That salad plate does not look big enough. And let me remind you, if you're grazing, so the reason this lifestyle works is you're going to implement all these together, okay? So if you're grazing, if it's 6 o'clock and you're eating dinner, but you ate around 3:30, you're not going to be so hungry that you could eat everything but the kitchen sink, right? You are fine. You're a little hungry, but you're not uncomfortable. You're okay with having a proper portion. So it comes down to you want to eat twice as often, half as much, and chew twice as much because digestion starts in the mouth. That's where our enzymes are. And so often we're eating so quickly that from here down, we're giving our digestive tract so much extra work to do. And it's not necessary. If we can just chew our food at least 10 times, we're going to feel a lot better. Okay, principle number 7, tune into your body. This is something that our culture, again, we just don't do because we're very robotic. We want to follow the trends. We want to do what our spouse, our sister, or our friend is doing. But maybe what's working for them isn't working for you, and that's okay. You are a unique individual. So I want you to check in every single day and just ask yourself, how am I feeling on a scale of 1 to 10? Am I energized? Do I feel well rested? Am I giving my body enough fuel? Like, do I feel good? And if something feels off, check in, and as if it was your vehicle, you would fix it, right? So always respond. The way to thrive and really, really thrive is to listen to your body's cues. If you shut out your body's cues and push them under the rug, you can't really expect your body to thrive. So you have to always check in. So if you're hungry, please eat. If you're thirsty, drink. If you are exhausted, take a nap. If you're stressed out, take something off your plate. Okay, just respond to your body's cues, and your body's always talking to you, so you just have to be willing to listen. Okay? Principle number 8, you are what you drink. So I think in our culture, we are so focused, the emphasis is so much on diet, but we don't focus on what we're actually consuming beverage-wise. And I believe it's actually equally as important. So I'll just put this little fun fact out right now. 1 can of soda a day equals 4 pounds of sugar in an entire month. So I love to share that because I'll have a client say, you know, Laura, I'm doing everything you told me to do, but the scale's still not dropping. So I'll say, okay, well, you're eating well. What are you drinking? And they'll say, well, everything's great, but I do my 1 Coke a day, and I can't give that up. I love my Coke. Well, once they realize that's 4 pounds of sugar, and they take that off the plate, and they realize, wow, that was what was keeping them from losing weight. So much sugar, right? And remember, sugar feeds disease, feeds inflammation, feeds cancer. It's not your friend. Again, moderation, keep it in your 20%. If you love soda, get it when you're out to eat, okay? And also remember, all caffeinated beverages, they are diuretics. So you're actually not hydrating, you're dehydrating. Now, I love my coffee, but what this basically means is you have to make sure you're having enough water around the beverage that is a diuretic, okay? So water, water, water. You need 1/2 your body weight in ounces a day to be properly hydrated. Water helps you detox. Water helps lower inflammation. Water also helps you burn fat. Yes, the fat burning process takes a lot of water. And it also helps build your immunity and helps with skin health, blood pressure. In fact, scientists have actually shown they'll look under a microscope. And if you look at cells that are dehydrated at all, they actually look shriveled like a raisin versus plump like a grape. So if it's not plump like a grape because we're not properly hydrated, our body's not going to function properly for us. So water is very, very important. So how do we get so much water? And that means like an average 200-pound guy would need 100 ounces a day. What you basically have to do is start first thing in the morning and keep it at arm's reach, okay? Because again, this is where the planning comes in, all right? You never leave your house without your keys, your wallet, food, and water, all right? So if you don't plan for it, it won't happen. But what I like to do is keep it at arm's reach. Always keep it with you, okay? So if you do that, then it's not going to be so hard. And I also recommend drinking room temperature water. It's much easier to guzzle down versus something that's super chilled, okay? And also try to avoid drinking out of plastic. It's an endocrine disruptor. Try to stick to glass or stainless steel. Principle number 9, sleep like it's going out of style. This is probably something I struggle with the most as a busy mommy, but I'll tell you, if we ask our body to show up for us, but we're not giving it enough rest, it's just not going to work. Our body requires rest. It requires 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night to fully function, okay, to function for us the way we want it to. Again, we keep hearing inflammation. Inflammation is huge. Inflammation suppresses the thyroid. Anything that takes the thyroid down a notch hurts your metabolism. So remember, inflammation equals weight gain. Just remember that. So it helps your body burn fat. It balances your hormones. Hello, ladies. We all need that. It also boosts your immunity, your cognitive function, and it helps reduce anxiety and depression. So again, your body needs time to reset. Don't expect it to show up for you if you're not giving it time to rest. You have to give it those 7 to 9 hours. Principle number 10. Yeah. Oh no, I jumped ahead, sorry. What are the healthy sleep habits that we need to be adapting? The first one is, and I'm guilty of this, but power down your electronics 30 minutes before bedtime. That blue light's not your friend, or get blue light glasses. Also, have the same nighttime routine as often as much as you can, because your brain actually clicks into gear, and they've shown that helps your body calm down if you have a routine. Also, dim the lights, avoid caffeine after 12 p.m., noon, okay? And stop eating 3 hours before bedtime, which we already spoke about this, all right? But again, that will give you a bit of energy before you go to sleep, and that's not what you want. Principle number 10, move the way your body wants to move. As you see, there's lovely mud runner. She's killing it. And if you've read my book, you've probably read the funny line, that's very true, where I said, I would rather go skydiving than go for a run. I really mean it. I absolutely don't like to run, but she looks like she's killing it. And I'll say this, if it works for them, great. It doesn't work for me. So what I want you to do is remember that, again, you are a unique individual. And I want you to tune into your body. Ask your body, how does it like to move? What workout makes you feel good? I will tell you, blood types A and B have higher cortisol than blood types O. So I'm an A, and I don't like cardio. It makes sense, right? If you're an O, you love to run, that's awesome. But if you don't, that's okay. You don't have to be a gym rat. You don't have to be a cardio rat, I should say, in order to be healthy. So another reason I love Fit20, because it's all based off of strength training. And remember that the biggest thing, the most important thing, is that you're just active. Take the stairs, park far away, just get your body moving. Try not to sit as much as, try to sit. If you're going to sit, get up and walk. If you have a desk job, try to stretch, but just stay active. You don't have to become obsessive with it. All right, why I love Fit20. This is the reason I have truly fallen in love with this company, is because I feel like it's safe. My spine is fused, so I'm always looking for ways to work out, but in a safe manner. And I love the one-on-one attention I get here. I feel like I'm never going to get injured. I love that it's sustainable, because I'm a busy mom and we all have 20 minutes, okay? We all can do that. And I also love that it keeps my cortisol at a healthy level, because we have the 5 to 7 day rest period. We're not going to be dealing with our fight or flight hormone being stuck sky high all week long, right? So we have time for it to go down. It also increases lean muscle mass, which, as you know, the more muscle you have, the more fat you burn. So there's a lot of benefits to Fit20. But before we conclude tonight's presentation, I just want to leave you with a few questions to ponder on. Why do you personally believe you are pursuing a healthy lifestyle? Why are you striving to eat better? And why are you here at Fit20? Where do you see yourself 10, 20, 30 years down the road? What do you want to be able to physically accomplish, and how do you want to feel? These are just a few questions that I want you to be asking yourself. And once you come up with your answers, then I want you to do the very best you can to narrow down your why, which is your personal motivation behind why you're doing what you're doing. And the reason I believe, and I know that this is so important, is because even if what we're doing is sustainable, if we don't have personal motivation behind it, if we're going through the motions, if we're being robotic about it, then we will absolutely lose steam. Because even though everything I taught you tonight is very sustainable, something you can do in the long run, it takes time, effort, energy, and dedication. So you can't afford to burn out. You have to know why you're doing what you're doing. So I'll just share with you my personal why. My why is that I have learned the hard way that if I don't fill my cup up first, I can't fill the cup of others. I can't show up the way I want to in this world, the way I want to show up. And looking in the big picture, way down the road, I know I want to be around for my grandkids. I want to be able to chase them around. So that's my why. But maybe your why lines up more along the lines of what my client said to me a couple weeks ago, when she said, Laura, I decided that my why is that I want to break a long family history chain of diabetes and high blood pressure. I refuse to stay on medication the rest of my life. So that was her why. Now my question for you is, what is yours? I want you to think about it. I want you to ponder it. And then once you have your answer, I want you to promise yourself that you're going to show up for that why and that person that you see that you want to see 10, 20, 30 years down the road every single day. And that you're going to commit to making the healthy choices that you know your body needs you to make in order for it to thrive. And if you do this every single day, I can promise you that little by little, you're going to notice that the results that come back to you, they're just going to come back to you for a week, a month, or a year, and then vanish, leaving you feeling totally deflated and defeated all over again. They're going to continue coming back to you for the rest of your life. So get excited. All right, that's the end of my presentation. Before we move on to questions, I want to let you know there are 3 places you can follow me. The first one is Instagram. I have live_healthy_with_Laura. Then my Facebook is Live Healthy with Laura, and my website is www.livehealthywithlaura.com. And this is my book. This is my first one. I have 2 out and 1 on the way, but this is my first. This is all the 10 principles I've spoken about tonight in more detail. It also includes 30 of my very own recipes, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snack recipes, in addition to a 5-day meal plan and your grocery list that is connected directly to that meal plan. So you can check it out on Amazon, Kindles, Barnes & Nobles, or Border. Same with my my other book, Mama You Still Matter. So if you're a mama, check that out. And or you can just, just do the QR code. But yeah. Do we have any questions?
We do have questions. All right. So everyone is loving the talk, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Back to the portion sizes. You were talking about the size of your fist. Is that for every item on the plate, Laura?
No. So this is your size of your fruits, your vegetables, your rice, your pastas, and potatoes, starches. But no, the reason I show the fist is just to show that the stomach is not a large organ. It's pretty small, actually. So we picture like a watermelon-sized organ. It's really not. So that's why it shows it's so easy to overeat. But when we eat smaller, more consistently, we're not going to stretch our stomach.
Great. For the 20 meal, can we eat the gluten and nightshade veggies during that time?
Absolutely. And that's honestly why it's so freeing. Again, you're not on a diet, you're just living. So I hope that becomes your new mantra. But you are absolutely, like for me, it's the wine, the cheese, the Italian, the bread, the tiramisu. Give it all to me, okay? And again, enjoy it. So yes, in that 20 window, when you're out to eat, please enjoy. Just don't order a salad. You don't want to.
We have some avid coffee drinkers here. For coffee habits, are there any good lifestyle habits for that favorite drink? You mentioned drinking extra water. Are there any other?
So there's something that I practice called bulletproof coffee. Well, I shouldn't say practice, but I drink it. And I actually have a recipe. If you do follow me on Instagram, I just shared it last week. But it actually really boosts your fat burning because it adds a healthy fat source. And so it doesn't spike your blood sugar at all, but it gets your metabolism into gear. So if you're a really busy mom and say you can't eat within that first hour, that bulletproof coffee walking out the door to take your kids to school is absolutely acceptable. So my biggest thing though with coffee is keep it organic. It's one of the highest sprayed crops there is, okay? So it's linked to a lot of cancers and diseases if you do it the wrong way. Retrospect though, if you drink organic coffee, it actually has a ton of health benefits and cancer fighting benefits. So
awesome. Are there any adaptations to your principles for someone with hypothyroidism?
Yeah, so everything that you're going to learn from my book tonight, everything I taught, the biggest thing that you're going to want to do if you have hypothyroidism is lower your inflammation. So you're going to really want to avoid gluten, dairy, nightshade vegetables for sure, okay, and refined sugar as much as possible, of course, except for that one meal, because inflammation suppresses the thyroid glands. So a lot of the times, what we found is that the TSH is actually artificially suppressed. It shows that you're functioning, your thyroid is actually highly functioning, but your cortisol, your fight or flight hormone is actually high because your inflammation is high. So the key is always looking down to the nitty gritty. You want to lower the inflammation as much as possible. So lots of fruits and vegetables, lots of water. Again, avoid gluten and dairy are not your friend, for sure.
Awesome. So someone says, my why is that I want to lose weight and look thin. How do I move past that?
Okay, so your body is meant to, you're a unique person and you want to feel good in your clothes and in your skin, and you absolutely should, okay? I don't think there's anything vain about wanting to feel good, all right, and feel good about the way you look. That being said, I will tell you right now, and if you read my journey, I one time was borderline anorexic, okay? I weighed way less than I do now, and I was miserable, all right? So I'll tell you right now, I would never trade for what I have now for what I have then. If your focus is on your health, your overall being mentally, physically, spiritually, I will tell you that weight loss is a natural side effect. You will naturally see that come back to you if you treat your body like a temple every single day and you treat it with respect. So the number is going to let your body weigh what it wants to weigh. Just do the right things and it'll let you know where it should stay at.
Awesome. Any tips for people with GERD?
With GERD?
Mm-hmm.
Well, don't eat close to bedtime. Avoid your citrus. Avoid your tomatoes, your nightshade vegetables. for sure. Lots of water. Yeah, dairy is not going to be good for you either. So gluten, dairy, I know it's not fun to hear that, but there's a lot of dairy-free alternatives out there. But definitely having that gap before you go to bed is really going to help you. You definitely don't want to fill up before you lay down at night.
What is a nightshade vegetable?
Okay, so peppers, eggplants, white potatoes, red peppers, blanking out. Hold on, I'm missing two. I'm sorry.
Those are good examples.
Yeah, they're good. There's a bunch of them. I think there's about 12.
Oh.
But basically what it is that they have a compound that if they're not fully cooked, they can actually cause inflammation. So same with cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, they can actually suppress your thyroid as well unless they are fully cooked because they have a little compound in them that can actually work against your thyroid hormone. So yeah.
Is turmeric a good supplement?
Turmeric is amazing. Speaking of inflammation, it is one of the top ones that I recommend for inflammation, for arthritis, for just like the achy joints and all of that. But turmeric is actually great for fat burning. It has shown actually it's reversed stage 4 cancers in some people. So it is very potent. It's a really powerful antioxidant. So yes, absolutely cook with that.
Awesome. So I have one more question for this evening. You guys are welcome to continue submitting them because some of the ones you have submitted, if we didn't go over it, it's because we have more future talks planned with Laura, and those questions will be addressed. But the last one for this evening is, why don't our doctors address any of this? Why don't they tell us this information?
So unfortunately, I won't say this for all doctors because my dad's actually an amazing doctor. He's Western trained, but he has a very holistic standpoint. Unfortunately, we live in a really money-making business, a world like where pharmaceutical companies make billions and billions of dollars. And I personally believe, and it's my passion and my goal to help get to the nitty-gritty so people can get off medications. I've seen so many clients get off medications and find freedom and just healing their body through food. It's so possible. But I think unfortunately in our culture, we're taught to treat the symptom as opposed to the underlying issue. And the problem with that is we never really get down to what's the problem, what our health really is asking of us. So I want to say doctors, there's doctors with really good hearts for sure, but I will say that our pharmaceutical companies, they like to make money. That's just unfortunately what I believe. But not every doctor. If you need a good doctor, I have one for you. So yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight again, and I'm glad you guys could hear me.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Laura, so much for coming this evening.
Do I just
Whatever you want.
yeah.
It was a pleasure having you. This was phenomenal. I know all the questions coming in, people were over there cheering you on in the comments. It was awesome. And we'll be having her back. I am currently working on building a whole team of resources, community of resources for our members locally and hopefully for the national level as well. Just, your whole wellness and well-being is important to us here at Fit20. And stay tuned and look towards your local studios if you're not in the Fredericksburg or Northern Virginia area, because I know that they are watching what we're doing here and they're excited to bring some of these types of events into the studios where you are as well. And we appreciate all of you joining us this evening. We greatly appreciate Laura for being here. Yes, no, seriously, this was awesome. And don't forget to check out her book. She has 2. I was honored to be interviewed to be part of
third
book. So
my third book.
I'm very excited. So, but again, feel free, if you have further questions, you can submit them to the Fit20 Liberty Place page. And I will make sure that Laura gets answers to you, or we put them to use in a future talk with Laura. So thank you guys, and hope you have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.